dystopia warning, obviously, or should that be Rishtopia warning? Huh? As many of you will now be aware, we're in the grips of a recession, aren't we? A lot of people are calling it a Rishession. Very hard to say without sounding like Sean Connery, yeah. But, like Sean Connery, allegedly, this government is pretty fond of slapping women about. So are a lot of the MPs, if the super injunction rumours are to be believed. Anyway, Sunak, who knew that, billions lost to COVID fraud, millions that you're siphoning into your own pocket via public contracts for your father-in-law's business Infosys, letting all the morons in your cabinet just fanning around talking to no one on GB News, or just, relying on baseless hate rhetoric to coast through. Whilst the rest of the MPs in that farm that you refer to as a government are frankly depraved and are preoccupied with sniffing street drugs off the backsides of strippers nightly. Who knew that all those things combined wouldn't exactly create a winning economic strategy? Yeah, who knew? Who knew? And Jeremy another name that is hard to say properly, is suggesting further cuts to public services, which at this point is like just, shooting a lifeless corpse. Personally, I want to see Hunt get more desperate and imaginative. I want to see him rocking up to, Tory strongholds in like a little crop top and a little short skirt, forced to dance at an NFU mutual event or something. Those big-eared farmer boys, make it rain in plum-coloured trousers, that kind of stuff. And if you thought that our economic woes ended with Liz Truss, that mad cabbage, you were silly and wrong and stupid. Because in the words of those great philosophers, tag team, woomph, there it is. Yeah. Fuck. And as we free fall into a Rish session, Mrs. Moneypenny, keep an eye on those Tory donors and hedge funder friends of the Conservatives who are going to be using Jacob Rees-Mogg's dad's book to cash in on our economic decline because patriotism. But it's not all bad news, no. There's been a mega poll. And by that, I'm not referring to a giant Polish man that the government are chasing around with a massive net because he managed to slip through the cracks after Brexit. No, I'm talking about a mega poll, which shows that Labour are on course to win an even bigger landslide than Tony Blair in 1997. Things literally can only get fucking better, can't they? I've got even more good news, yeah. I know it's weird, isn't it? Doesn't often happen, so take it whilst you got it. I mean, as you're aware, the polling is showing that the Tories are about as popular as Gary Glitter at a sports day, singing It's Good to Be Back, Oh, too far. But we're getting to see it all play out in real time via by-elections, aren't we? Huh? Last night there were 2 by-elections. One of the by-elections was held in Peter Bones' old constituency, old Boner. Pervy Bones, Boney MP. He had a majority of over 18,000, yeah. Labour did him, didn't they? With the second biggest swing of any post-war election. 28.5% swing, 45.9% of the vote share. And in Kingswood, Labour overturned a majority of 11,200 with a 16.4% swing from Tory to Labour. Kiss my face. Sam Bromley, the really sad-looking, blue rosetted twat, that picture above, apparently legged it within seconds of the declaration being made. I know our line so far is, make them cry in a sports centre. Maybe we should upgrade that to make them run like Forrest Gump in a sports centre on election night. Or maybe just, make them run and cry. Possibilities are endless, aren't they? They're going to have a very bad night. And Sunak this morning is still clinging to the line. Labour doesn't have a plan, he said, like Will from In-Betweeners. Except more robotic, The guy's gradually turning into Johnny Five, except with, zero charisma. So yeah, Sunak said Labour don't have a plan whilst clinging to a door amongst the wreckage of the Titanic that is his government. You want to see a clip of it?
That there isn't a huge amount of enthusiasm for the alternative in Keir Starmer and the Labour Party, and that's because they don't have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, you can't deliver real change.
Oh, mate. It seems that their plan to, triple fuck you in an election is going pretty well. Because these Labour by-election gains are just routine now. Even Nadine Dorries, a.k.a. Ginderella, is conceding that another leadership contest would be, in her words, insanity And trust me, she knows what that word means, and is calling for a general election.
If we do, the Conservative Party deserves to be wiped out of existence, because what they should be doing is governing for the people and not governing for themselves. They are concerned only with their own ambition.
One of the maddest clips of the night actually came from everyone's least favourite, top-hatted upper-class old Jacob Rees-Mogg.
If you add together the Conservative and the Reform Party vote, it's more than the Labour Party vote.
Yeah, Jacob, you could say that about literally any election. Or if you added Labour together with the Greens and the Lib Dems, do you know the best bit? He wasn't even there in the capacity of supporting the candidate. He was there rouging his cheeks and putting on his push-up bra for GB News as a presenter. And then he gave an interview to the BBC in the capacity of being an MP, apparently. What is going on? But Jacob Rees-Mogg had better watch his back, really, hadn't he? Just for a little bit of added context, Peter Bone's majority was over 18,000. Jacob Rees-Mogg's majority is 14,729. Weak pound, weak majority, weak pretend Victorian. There's one really important thing to remember, you know, a prick with a posh voice is still a prick. Now, as the Tories face, you know, the most by-election defeats of any government since the 1960s, consider this a teaser trailer for the general election. And don't become complacent. We're still going to fight this election like we're 20 points behind, because our aim isn't just ejecting these criminals, no. It's extinction. Yeah. And prison. I'll leave you on one final note, which is very important, and it relates to that absolute sewer masquerading as the British press. You know, non-dom billionaires setting our national conversation and all that jazz. One thing is extremely clear. Never before have the British government and the British press, who are supposed to respectively inform and serve the British people, ever been more out of touch with what we want and what we need and what we think. The press literally just stokes division on behalf of the government and lies to the public, because millionaires stick together. Billionaires really stick together because the con's profitable, isn't it? Not for us though, no. The other day I read about a 39-year-old mother who died of a brain hemorrhage. She was left waiting for 7 hours in A&E. She was found under a coat in a corridor. Remember what I said earlier on about complacency at the general election? We're going to need your help. Not only is it really important that you sort out your voter ID and your registration now for a general election because it's coming, but voting tactically is incredibly important, and Jacob Rees-Mogg's constituency is a prime example of that. This is the vote share between Labour and the Liberal Democrats. Now, if those people all went over to Labour, what do you think would happen? If they don't, what do you think is going to happen? The work begins with an election win. Removing the Tories is the emergency. If we have a proven track record of mobilisation and collective action, we can influence the next government to make our votes matter. But in the meantime, join me in laughing at the Conservative Party.